Okay, so in this video we're going to draw the interior partitions of our office space. In the last module we drew the columns and we drew the windows. It never hurts to double check. You go up to the measure command, and we use the distance tool. The measure button, by the way, just to repeat, is a series of tools. It used to be called the inquiry commands, but now it's measuring. And we click on this one, which is the distance command. And you check maybe the distance between your column center lines, which should be 20. Check your columns. This is going to be 4 by 2. All right. And check various things. You might want to check, say, the center line of one window to the center line of the next should be 4. So this will be 8, and this will be 12. Right? So you just want to check your work. Okay, so we're going to draw the interior partitions. I didn't put in all the layers all the layers from the list the last time. So I'm going to include or add the layer that I need now, which is the wall interior layer. So I'm going to bring this is my layer standard, and I'll see right here is the wall interior layer right here. It's probably pretty small on your screen, but it's a green color, 0.4 line weight, and it will be locked after it's completed. Oh, actually no, that's the wall structural layer above. So for the interior walls, it's green and 0.4 line weight, so I can get rid of this and create a new layer. So now, if you don't have your layer manager up on the screen, you would click this button. I have it up on the screen, but I use auto hide, so I put my cursor on top of it. For some reason I had to click on it. Usually you don't have to. Oh, I know why, because I was in another window, another program. So I'm going to click on the auto hide button so it stays open, because when I create a new layer it's easier if it's pinned open. So I'm going to call this wall interior and make the color green, and 0.4 is the line weight. That's good. I'm going to double click on it here to make it current. That's one way to make it current. Of course, we talked about this before. We could have just clicked it from this list. Right now, wall structural is current. If I click on it, I can choose wall interior. Now that's the current layer. That's what I'll be drawing on. I'll be drawing all these walls mostly with the line command. So I can click on this, and you can see that the color is green, like the current layer. Okay. Now the handout that you have to complete this work looks like this. It's the architectural floor plan with some things removed, just so that you can look at what you need to do. Of course, I don't want you to add the dimensions or the room names. The room names are there just for your reference, and as long as they're there, I can just walk you through this space. The entry is down here. You walk into a waiting room. To the right are the bathrooms and a coat closet, and then a kitchen space, the accountant's office. On the left-hand side, there's 2 small offices, a library in the corner, and then these 2 unusual spaces here. The largest space is the studio. So this office is an interior design firm. So this is the studio where the majority of the people will be working at basically drafting workstations. And then there's a conference room here right in the middle. So that's what we'll be drawing. And right now we're going to be drawing all the interior partitions. Now there are enough dimensions on this drawing excuse me, to get this drafted. It is just enough, not sorry, I was distracted for a second because I noticed a dimension that didn't need to be on here. That's incorrect. So I'll fix that on the one that you get. I'm not going to point it out right now. There are just enough dimensions on here to draw what you need. Sometimes you'll be searching, you'll be wondering, where's the dimension, say, for example, here. Why isn't there a dimension here for the kitchen? Well, the reason is because you see that there's a dimension from this wall down here. Let me zoom in a bit. There's a dimension here, 5'6". So this wall is 5'6" away from this wall. The thickness of the wall is 5 inches. That's a note I'll show you in a second. You know that the other wall of the kitchen is located by bringing lines down from the top, and you have the accountant's office at 6'10", and whatever's left over is the kitchen. So you don't need a dimension there. You have enough to draw it. Now you might say, well, how do you find this, where this line is? Well, like I said, there's barely enough information on here, but it's meant to be a little challenging for you. We didn't want to load it up with lots of dimensions. It's just enough for what you need. So this is the trick here. Many of the walls are aligned with columns. So in this case, you see there's this column here. There's a wall coming off of it. Well, the top line, as we're looking at it, starts right from the corner of that column. And then in this case, because it's a demising wall, which is an outside wall, it is 6 inches. So you offset 6 inches to get that wall. But in any case, the wall on the other side of the waiting room is aligned with this one. I'm probably confusing you more than anything. So I'm going to draw about half of this plan, hitting most of the complicated areas, and then I'm going to let you draw the other half. Okay, so I'm going to have this handout off to the side on another screen, and I'll start over here on my drawing. Okay, so I'll start in the upper left hand corner, and let's see what I have here. Okay, sorry, one more thing on this. Let's look at some of these notes. All demising partitions are 6 inches. I mentioned that. That's the outside wall of the space. That's those are 6 inches. They're fire rated walls, so they have to be a little thicker. Then the note right above here says all interior partitions 5 inches nominal. Nominal means, more or less. We'll draw the detail and we'll see that it's not exactly 5 inches, but for the purposes of a 1/8 inch scale plan, it's a 5-inch wall. And then the other note up here, these two walls here, it says new partition centered on mullion. That's an important note. As you'll remember, we drew the mullions at 6 by 6. 6 inches by 6 inches. The walls, the interior walls, are 5 inches. So you're not going to draw it from the corner. If we zoom in here, you'll see that even though it's pretty small, you'll see that the walls are not coming off of the corner. There's a 1/2 inch difference because the wall is 5 inches and the mullion is 6 inches. So I'll show you how that's done. Alright, and then finally, one more note before we can get started. Right here, all interior doors are 3 feet 0 inches with a 6 inch return from adjacent wall, UON. So that's 3 feet wide. I'll fix that in your handout. There should be an apostrophe, not a slash. The 6-inch return means this. Zooming in here. 6-inch return is from this corner to where the door opening is. It's 6 inches. So this wall, little bit of wall here is 6 inches. That's the return. 6-inch return from adjacent wall, UON, unless otherwise noted. Okay, that's an important note. We call out typical conditions all the time, and sometimes it won't be typical, so we say unless otherwise noted. Here, for example, these mullions are 6x6 typical, and the mullions on the side are 3x6 typical. That never varies, so we don't say unless otherwise noted. And then 2x2 column in the middle, 2 foot by 2 foot column is shown here. Okay, so enough with this handout. I'm going to have this off to the side, and I'm going to start drafting. Wall interior. Okay, so you see there's a note that says new partition centered on mullion, and that is this mullion and this mullion. So I'm going to do those first. I'm going to start the line command. Now I can't draw them from the corners. I can't draw the walls from the corners because then I would get a 6-inch wall. So I'm going to erase that. Instead, I'm going to draw a line from the midpoint and go out longer than I need. And then I'm going to offset 2.5 inches up and 2.5 inches down. I'm going to erase. Now, if you drew this on top of your windows, which you should have, on top of the windowsill, you'll have this condition. You'll see the windowsill going right through the wall. And what you'll want to do is trim that little line out. That's often forgotten. So use the trim command to get rid of that. So we have our first wall down. Now we have the other wall. Let me fix that too. I'm going to copy this wall down to this location. Why go through that same process with drawing the center line and offsetting when I can easily just copy these objects? And you have to be careful of where your base point is. If I choose this as my base point, that's going to be more difficult to find when I get to the other mullion. So I'm going to say, let's just use the upper left, or even better yet, the midpoint of the mullion, the left midpoint, and then I come down here and I locate the wall here. So right now I have 2 walls centered on the mullion, and then let's see, it's constantly looking at what information you have. I look at this here and I see I don't know what the width of this office is, but I do know that the hallway wall is 4'6" wide, and if you look here, this wall right here is aligned with the left hand side of this column. Okay, so using that knowledge, I'm going to draw this line up, straight up from here, and straight down from here. Then I'm going to offset 5 inches this way and this way. I do this longer than I need it. Right? I don't have to make it perfect right now. Okay, now I see that I can get the other office wall here because I know that the corridor is 4'6". So I offset 4 feet 6 inches, and I just offset this one. I don't offset both of them. I don't need 2 lines here. All right, so I'm going to offset the thickness of the wall 5 inches, like this, and then use the extend command. Now it's very important that you don't offset both lines. If you were to offset this 4'6", oops, offset 4'6", and then offset this again 5 inches. Now you have 4 lines here. You have these 2 and these 2, and you just need 2. You wouldn't want to use the stretch command. If I use the stretch command, combine them, it looks like 2 long lines, but it's really 4 shorter lines. So the rule of thumb is, if it looks like one object, if it looks like one line, it should be one line. It shouldn't be made up of 2 parts. And you should avoid, in 99.9% of the circumstances, avoid overlapping lines. So what I'm going to do here, I have my 2 hallway corridor walls. I'm just going to use the extend command. Start the extend command. It says what are the boundary edges. I'm just going to hit enter to make everything a boundary edge, and just extend it to that point. Okay, so let me go a little bit more. Before I clean this up, I'm going to draw a few more lines. So let's bring this plan back here. I'm going to draw this bottom wall here. Now this is a demising partition, so it's 6 inches wide, but it starts at this column. So I'm going to draw a line from that column going out. So that'll be right here. Now you'll notice how it ends. It ends aligned with the end of this column. So I can hold my cursor here, use O-track, and go up, and then go down. Then offset this one 6 inches down, and then draw a line from this corner up, and use the fillet command to clean that up. Okay. So here we have, and this is very typical in AutoCAD, we have a bunch of lines. They're longer than you need them. Some are shorter than you need them. So you need to clean this up. Now, depending on how comfortable you are with a little bit of mess on your screen, you could go a little bit further before you cleaned it up. But I think it's a good time to do that now. So I just need to keep in mind what has to stay and what has to go. And one important thing to keep in mind is, don't worry about doors yet. We're only going to draw the walls, and then when we're done with all the walls, we'll put the doors in later. So don't worry about door location. All right, so I know that these 2 lines extend, so I'm going to use the extend command. I'm going to make everything a boundary edge, so I hit enter, and so these lines can go forward. I'll trim them out later. These lines have to be cut back, so I'm going to hold the shift key down, and now it's the trim command. While I'm in close, I can trim that out. Actually, why don't I? Just going to hold the shift key down, and I'll clean that up. I'm continuing using the shift command, so I have the trim command going. I trim that out, and okay, so I'm done. Trim out everything that I need, so it's a lot neater now. Started with the extend command, but then the rest of the things I needed were the trim command. All right, moving on. Again, I'm forgetting about the doors. I'll draw a line straight across from column to column, and then offset 5 inches here. So I have the back of the conference room. All right, at the risk of creating a video that's too long, I might draw a little bit more than I had planned, because there are always issues that come up, and because we're not in a classroom, it would be difficult for you to ask questions, or it'll take some time to get a response. So I'm going to maybe draw all the walls a little bit quicker than I normally would, but you can always rewind to see how I've done it. I'm going to now start over on the right hand side of the plan and draw the demising wall that's on the right hand portion of our space. So I'm going to draw this line way longer than I need it, and it starts from the lower left hand corner of this column, the fourth column. Then I'm going to offset that 6 inches because that's a demising wall. Alright, now let's see, I want to draw the rooms on this side. So I can start with the first wall over here because I know it's 10 feet, let's see, what's that say, 10 feet 8 inches. Yeah, 10/8. So I could do this a couple ways. I could offset 10 feet 8 inches and offset this line, and then put this on the wall interior layer. But since I have the wall interior layer open already, I can start the line command, not open, current. I have the wall interior layer as the current layer. I can hold my cursor here without clicking, drag down, I'm using O-track here, then type 10 feet 8, enter. So the start of my line is 10 feet 8 over. So draw it longer than I need it, offset 5 inches, down like that. And then you see that you have the same condition at this column where the wall is aligned with the right hand side of it. So you could do this. You could use the mirror command and just mirror these walls over and use either one of these midpoints. There we go. So it's getting a little sloppy here. Let me just add a couple more walls before I clean it up. So I'm going to use the copy command and copy this 4 feet 6 inches over, then offset 5 inches, and then finally, let's see, that the accountant's office is 10 feet 6 in this dimension, so I'm going to offset 10 feet 6 inches here, then offset 5 inches here. So there's a lot going on here, and I want to clean it up before it gets too confusing. So I know that these two lines extend upward to here. This line extends up, this line gets trimmed, this one gets trimmed, these get trimmed down to here. So you have to just visualize what it is you need and get rid of everything you don't need. So I'm going to zoom in here. I'm going to start with the extend command again. Extend, enter. Make everything a boundary edge by hitting enter. And then these lines get extended. I have to do it twice. Let's see, then I'm going to hold the shift key down. Now I have the trim command active. Okay. I'm going to take my finger off the shift command and extend that line up. Put it back on the shift button and trim it. Trim that while I'm at it. I'm holding down the shift key. Trimming that, all of these lines. And holding the shift key down again. There we go. So I've got the accountant's office and the corridor drawn. And now down here, I'm going to draw the bathroom. So let's look at that here. Again, this wall over here is aligned with this wall over here, so I can use the mirror command again. And then I draw the bathrooms because I know from this uppermost wall, the outside wall of the bathroom, I need to offset 2'10" to get the back of the closet, and then 7'6" to get the rest of the bathroom. Okay, so and this wall right here is aligned with the right hand side of the column. So first I'll draw that right hand side of the column. Go down like that and offset 5 inches. this wall I want to draw over here is aligned with this wall over here, so I can just start my line here and go straight over. That's a little confusing, so what I'll do instead, I'm gonna start the line command, but hold my cursor here, but not click, drag a little bit to the right, and click there. So my line starts to the right, and I use O-track for that, and then I can draw that little line in. Now, what you don't want to do is copy this wall from over here to over here, because this wall is a demising wall, so it's 6 inches thick. This wall is an interior partition, so it's 5 inches. So I'm offsetting 5 inches to get that wall. I'm going to draw a line from here up, and then I'm going to use the fillet command in this case. Clicking on those two lines, right click, here and here, neatens up that wall. Okay. Before I finish the bathroom here, I'm going to draw the kitchen. So like I said before, we don't know what this dimension is. It's not on our plan, but we do know that from this wall up it's 5 feet 6 inches. So I'm going to offset 5 feet 6 from here up, and then offset 5 inches, and there, that's our kitchen. So I just use the fillet command to neaten up that corner, and I'll use the trim command to get rid of that. Okay. So now the bathrooms. The opening here into each bathroom is 5 feet. It says 5 feet typical. So the door is in a section of wall that's 5 feet wide. So I'm going to offset 5 feet. And I can offset this side and then offset this one. All right. Should have trimmed out this line before. I'm going to trim this and this and this. Okay, so our wall inside the bathroom, I'm going to use extend to bring this line all the way up. There's going to be a door in this section of wall, a door in this section of wall, and then a closet here. The back of the closet is 2 feet 10 inches from this line. So I'm going to offset 2 feet 10. 2 feet 10 here and go back. Now 2 feet 10 makes sense because a typical closet is 2 feet deep, and your front wall is 5 inches and your back wall is 5 inches. So I'm going to offset 5 inches here. I'm going to offset 5 inches here and here, and all of a sudden you can make out what the closet's going to be. So I'll use the fillet command to neaten up those lines. And then the trim command to make the closet. All right. Now from the back of this closet wall to the far end of the bathroom is 7 feet 6. So I'm going to offset 7 feet 6 inches. I could also use copy. And then I'll offset 6 inches because that's a demising wall. So go out 6 inches. And then I use the fillet command to define these two bathrooms. And finally, there is a chase wall, a plumbing wall, which is extra thick, extra wide. That's 1 foot 2 inches. So I'm going to draw a line down the middle. Whoops. Line command right down the middle. And offset, what's 1, 2, so it's 7 inches. Offset 7 to the right and 7 to the left, and remove the baseline. Then I use the trim command to get rid of that. Great. All right, almost done. I'm going to draw this opening. So over here, the door is up against a wall here that just comes straight down. I'll just draw this longer than I need it and offset 6 inches like that. Then here that opening is 6 feet, so I'm going to use the offset command, 6 feet, and offset 6 inches again here. Then what I'll do is use the fillet command to extend this line over, and the fillet command to extend this line over like that. But then I have to remember to come back here and use the trim command to clean up that corner. So now the waiting room is set. Now a couple of tricky things to do now. Maybe just one tricky thing to do now, and that's this curved wall. Okay. So it's important, there's one dimension that's important here, and that's the dimension that's in this area of your handout. It says 6 feet. The spring point of the arc is 6 feet from this point right here. So I'm going to mark it just with a line. So I could use offset and offset that column 6 feet. It would give me something a little weird, but that dimension from here to here is 6. Or I could just use a line and start the line with O-track, not clicking there, but dragging down, type in 6 feet, and right there, right where that line is crossing this interior wall, is where the arc starts. In fact, I'll draw a little circle there just to actually give it extra emphasis. And it's the same on the other side. So I could do the same thing. Draw a line, drag down 6 feet, and there's the other starting point of the arc. Okay. Now it's important that you draw the inside arc first, because those are the dimensions you have. You have you know 3 points about this arc. You know that one end point of the arc is 6 feet away from the column over here. The other end point of the arc is 6 feet from this column. And then in the middle of the conference room, you get a note saying that the radius, or you have a dimension that says the radius is 12 feet. Okay, so we have our 3 points, but what arc should we use? When you go to the arc command, usually it has the 3-point method as the top, as the default method here. But that's not going to help us because we don't know where that middle point would be in this arc. So let's click the down arrow here and see if there are any recipes for an arc that we can use. There's start, center, end. We don't know where the center point is. Start, center, angle. We don't know the angle. Start, center, length. Start, end, angle. Start, end, direction. No, none of those. But then this one, start, end, radius. That's exactly what we know. We know the start of the arc, the end of the arc, and the radius of the arc. So I'm going to click on that and just follow its instructions. It says specify start point of arc. I'm going to do it start on the left hand side because I know the arcs are drawn in the counterclockwise direction. And then it says specify end point of arc. That's over here. And then it says specify radius. Now as I've said many times, it's sometimes helpful to just hold the cursor somewhere close. So I know the center point of that arc is somewhere around here. So if I hold my cursor there, look what I get. So if I type in now the radius of the arc, which is 12 feet, there, that's my line. That's my arc, I should say. I'm going to erase that and that, that and that. Now this is very important. Also, you can't draw another arc because the start point of the outside arc is not straight across. You'll see in a second. The only way to get this next arc is to offset this line. So we can draw the inside arc and then offset the outside one. Offset that first arc 5 inches, click the object and offset it to the outside, not inside but outside. And then from this point you see that the arc does not start straight across over here. It will start somewhere up here. So to fix these corners, just use the fillet command. F enter, repeat the command, and just clean those corners. Alright, so those are your interior partitions. Okay, in the next video I'll talk about creating the door openings and then also blocks. That might be in 2 videos, but in any case, that's what we'll be doing next. All right, good luck.